The Cleveland Browns are standing at a crossroads, and what's happening behind closed doors right now could determine the entire future of the franchise. Inside the team's facility, tensions are boiling over, and the whispers from those in the know suggest that a dramatic power struggle is taking shape. The center of this chaos? A shocking ultimatum allegedly delivered by owner Jimmy Haslam to head coach Kevin Stefanski. Bench Dylan Gabriel, or start packing your bags. This isn't speculation for the sake of drama. This is a real situation, unfolding inside one of the most unpredictable organizations in the NFL. Haslam's message is clear, and for Stefanski, it's a nightmare scenario that could spell the end of his tenure in Cleveland. For months, the Browns were riding a wave of hype surrounding Dylan Gabriel. The Cleveland media showered him with praise throughout the summer, painting him as the next great hope under center. Every insider and analyst echoed the same narrative. Gabriel was sharp, decisive, and miles ahead of schedule. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders, the rookie many fans quietly believed had the real upside, was dismissed as a developmental project. The press convinced fans to buy into Gabriel's supposed brilliance, and by the time the regular season began, he was anointed as the future of the franchise. But what followed was nothing short of a collapse so swift and embarrassing that even his biggest supporters can't defend it anymore. Dylan Gabriel's struggles on the field have been painful to watch. Against the Bengals, he pulled off something so bizarre it almost seemed like a parody of bad football. He committed a safety without even being touched. That single play symbolized everything wrong with his performance: poor awareness, rattled decision-making, and a complete lack of composure. Things went from bad to worse against the Steelers, where he was battered by their defense and looked utterly lost. Fans and analysts initially made excuses, suggesting he was still shaken from the hits he took. But when the same mistakes resurfaced, in the next game against Miami, culminating in another intentional grounding penalty in the end zone, the narrative could no longer be defended. It was no longer about bad luck or inexperience. It was about Gabriel simply not being ready for the NFL stage, and the media, who once crowned him a savior, has flipped faster than anyone could have imagined. Reporters who once doubted Shedeur Sanders are now calling for him to start immediately. The same pundits who mocked his readiness are suddenly championing him as Cleveland's best chance at turning this season around. The shift in tone is staggering and reveals just how fickle and reactionary sports coverage can be. Months ago, they dismissed Sanders as unpolished. Now they're treating him like the second coming of Deshaun Watson before Watson's decline. Behind the scenes, the situation is even more volatile. Multiple sources close to the Browns organization have reported that Jimmy Haslam has lost all patience with Gabriel's failures and is furious that Stefanski's gamble has blown up in his face. The Browns are sitting at a dismal 2-6 record, their playoff hopes already dead, and Haslam reportedly believes it's time to pull the plug on the experiment. The ultimatum has been laid out. Either Stefanski benches Gabriel for Shedeur Sanders, or he can start updating his resume. This is Haslam's breaking point. He poured money and trust into a coaching staff that promised results, and instead, he's watching another wasted season unfold. For Kevin Stefanski, the stakes couldn't be higher. He was the one who vouched for Gabriel, who believed the young quarterback could be molded into a star. Admitting that Gabriel isn't the answer would mean acknowledging his own misjudgment, a devastating blow to his credibility. But refusing to make a change could mean the end of his career in Cleveland. It's a brutal lose-lose situation, one that might ultimately expose the flaws in Stefanski's leadership and evaluation process. If he sticks with Gabriel and the losing continues, the ownership will have every reason to move on. If he switches to Sanders and the rookie struggles, he'll still be blamed for failing to manage the transition earlier. For Dylan Gabriel, this could mark the beginning of the end of his NFL journey. 4 starts into his rookie season, and he's already on the brink of being replaced. The NFL doesn't wait for anyone. If you can't deliver, you're forgotten faster than a preseason highlight. Gabriel has shown flashes of potential, but flashes aren't enough when your mistakes are costing games and your confidence is visibly deteriorating. The pressure has exposed his weaknesses, and with each passing week, it's becoming clearer that he may not have what it takes to lead an NFL offense. And then, there's Shedeur Sanders, the player who's been waiting in the shadows, biding his time, studying, learning, and staying ready. He's been overlooked, underestimated, and undervalued since day one, but now the stars are aligning for him. While the media hyped Gabriel, Sanders quietly worked on his timing, his chemistry with the receivers, and his mastery of the playbook. The Browns' front office knows what they have in him. That's why they reportedly refused to trade him unless they received a first or second round pick in return. You don't put that kind of price tag on a backup unless you believe he can be a franchise cornerstone. Sanders' college career at Colorado showed flashes of brilliance. He's composed under pressure, accurate in tight windows, and possesses the kind of leadership that energizes a locker room. The Browns' offense doesn't need a superstar. Right now, they need stability. Someone who can protect the football, read the defense, and execute the game plan without unraveling. Sanders can be that guy. He's not a gunslinger looking for the highlight throw. He's a technician who thrives on precision and poise. And in Cleveland, that's exactly what they need to restore faith in a fan base that's been burned too many times. The Browns are entering their bye week, and if there was ever a time to make a bold change, it's now. Stefanski has a narrow window to reset, prepare Sanders, and roll into the next game with renewed energy and focus. This could be the spark. The team needs to salvage what's left of the season, or at least establish a foundation for the future. The defense is elite, the running game solid, and the offensive line capable of protecting a composed quarterback. The missing piece has been consistency at the most important position in football. If Sanders can bring that, Cleveland could transform overnight from a team in crisis to one with hope. The fans are ready for something new. They've watched the Deshaun Watson debacle, the false hope around Dylan Gabriel, and the endless cycle of mediocrity. What they want now is belief, something or someone that gives them a reason to care again. Shedeur Sanders represents that hope. A fresh face, a new chapter, and perhaps, finally, a glimpse of stability in a franchise that's been searching for decades. If Jimmy Haslam follows through on this ultimatum, and if Stefanski makes the switch, we could be witnessing the birth of a new era in Cleveland. But if he clings to the past, refuses to adapt, and lets ego dictate his decisions, the Browns might once again find themselves in the same dark cycle of disappointment. Time is running out. The ownership has drawn its line in the sand. And with every passing day, the pressure builds. So, what happens next could define everything: the coaching staff's fate, the quarterback future, and the very identity of this franchise. The Browns have been through chaos before, but this feels different. This feels like the beginning of something that will reshape the team for years to come. The Dylan Gabriel experiment has failed, and now it's time to see what Shedeur Sanders can do when the lights are brightest. If you've been following this saga from the start, you know this moment has been building. The tension